Good evening. We'll call to order the regular meeting of the Planning Commission for April 12th, 2022 at 7 p.m. We'll now take a moment for silent prayer or meditation followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. Please stand. The Pledge of Allegiance will be led by Commissioner Heng.
Please join me.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Paulina, can you call roll?
Yes, good evening, Chair and Commissioners. Commissioner Williams? Present. Commissioner Gutierrez?
Here.
Commissioner Heng?
Here.
Vice Chair Lewis?
Here.
Chair Becerra?
Here. Tonight we have minutes from the regular Planning Commission meeting on February 8th, 2022. Does anyone have any changes to the minutes? The minutes are approved and as submitted. Oral communications. This is the time when any member of the public may speak to the Commission on any matter within the scope of duties assigned to the Commission relating to non-agendized or consent calendar items. Other matters included in this agenda may be addressed when that item is under consideration. For all oral communications, the chairperson may impose a reasonable limitations on the public's comments to assure an orderly and timely meeting. The Ralph M. Brown Act limits the Planning Commission and staff's ability to respond to public comments at this meeting. Thus, your comments may be agendized for a future meeting or referred to staff. The Commission may ask questions for clarification if desired at this time. By policy of the Commission, oral communications at this time on the agenda is limited to a total of 15 minutes. Would anyone like to speak on an item that is not on the agenda this evening?
Madam Chair, I don't have any cards for public comment.
Okay. So we have one item on the consent calendar. Who will present the staff report?
Hold on. Are we doing? Oh, sorry. Are we consent calendar? There's no staff report unless you have questions.
Oh, okay. Well, it has an item number 1, says it's on the consent calendar. So is this the right script?
So you can approve it, or you can pull it and ask for a report or to ask questions.
So I'm sorry.
So there's a motion to approve the consent calendar, and it would have to be seconded, or you could pull the item.
I'll motion to approve the items on the consent calendar.
The item is extension of time for precise plan number 15-07 tentative track map. And this was for, can we get an update on what this item is?
It's for extension for, as you mentioned, the precise plan 15-07 for permits or entitlements that were approved by the Planning Commission, which expired October 2020. So they're asking for their first extension from the Planning Commission.
Okay. So Vice Chair Lewis has motion to approve. You have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, roll call. Commissioner Williams?
Aye.
Commissioner Gutierrez?
Aye.
Commissioner Heng?
Aye.
Vice Chair Lewis?
Aye.
And Chair Becerra?
Aye.
Motion passes.
We'll now move on to public hearing portion of this meeting tonight. We have 2 public hearings. Let's see. Who will present the staff report? Elena.
Madam Chair, I'd like to introduce our new Assistant Planner, Jerry Rivera. And so it's his very first Planning Commission with us, and he will be doing the presentation for you.
Thank you. Welcome, Terry.
Good evening, Madam Chair and fellow commissioners. This is item number 3 on the agenda, an application for an administrative use permit. The applicant's neighbor has requested that we provide her email exchange with code enforcement. So the emails were printed and have been distributed among the commissioners. And it's also available to the public. The AUP application before you this evening is requesting approval of a wood wall topper on top of a wall. The homeowner installed the wood topper prior to AUP approval. The installed wall topper will increase the height from 6 feet to 7 feet. The pictures above show the existing wood wall topper that was constructed. This is the existing color of the wood panels that create the wood topper. The photo on the left shows the wood topper on the applicant's side front wall. The 2 other photos are views from the neighbor's side of the wall. Staff sent out public notices to occupants of properties within a 300-foot radius of the project site with information regarding the request to increase wall height as specified by the AUP process, as a letter was received by the adjacent property owner to the south of the project site requesting a public hearing. The raised issue is over the wood topper material. Based on this request, the AUP is being forwarded to the Planning Commission. The concern is the material which the neighbor felt does not comply with the architectural aesthetic standards. To address the neighbor's concern, staff is recommending to have the applicant paint the wood topper a color similar to the block wall. The picture above is a rendered image of what the wood topper could look like if it was painted to match the block wall. Staff recommends that the Planning Commission adopt the resolution approving administrative use permit number 22-01. And this concludes my presentation. I'm available if the Commission has any questions. Also, we do have the applicant present. Thank you.
So the permit is for to build the additional footage or for to paint it?
It's for approval of the wall topper itself as it was installed without the AUP, so it is for the height.
Okay, so it's not, it just sounded like it was for one or the other or both. Okay.
The adjacent neighbor is, I believe, not in favor of the wall topper, and so to try to address the concerns, staff is recommending coloring it to similar color of the block wall.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for the report, Terry. Does any member of the Commission have any question for staff?
I do. So why is it that I guess it seems like it's sort of an ex post facto AUP. Why is it that we're not exploring the option of just increasing the size of the brick wall itself and continuing with the same type of material? Or is this just sort of trying to create sort of a middle ground? Is that basically what I'm to take of this?
That was staff's intention, to create a sort of middle ground with the recommendation. However, it is up to the Planning Commission whether or not that staff's recommendation is acceptable, or if the Planning Commission would like to approve a higher wall with the continuation of the concrete masonry block wall.
Is there any specific rule in our development code with regard to wall toppers?
The development code does not address wall toppers. It just talks about the maximum height of fences and walls.
Do we have any precedence on this whatsoever?
We looked at past Planning Commission AUP applications the past couple of years, and we have not seen any public hearing request or AUPs for a higher wall that the Planning Commission had approved. There had been some AUP applications for a higher wall that nobody requested a hearing for, and so by default it was just approved administratively, but none for a Planning Commission review.
And did any of those include wall toppers?
I'm not sure. I didn't look that far into it.
Understood.
Any other questions? Commissioner Gutierrez?
Not at this time.
Commissioner Williams?
Not at this time.
Commissioner Hank?
Not at this time.
Okay. We'll now open this for public hearing. Can we hear from the applicant? Or those in favor?
The applicant first.
Excuse me?
The applicant,
Applicant
first.
first. Is the applicant here? Yes. Yes.
Oh, if we
You'd
could
have to come up.
step up and speak at the dais, please. You can address your request for the application and why you're requesting it.
Okay. Hi, and thank you for hearing me. The purpose of this request is for the security both from and to the outside. We have a German Shepherd. She's young, she's spry, and she's able to leap the fence. We also are doing it for the purposes of security. It appears that the contention of the neighbor has nothing to do with what the code is stipulating. When the city came by with the code, they said the issue was the height. Her contention is not the height. Her contention is that she does not like the material of the wall. The adjacent neighbor on the other side was elated for the privacy. She herself is enjoying the privacy because she has a window on the side that she never opens, but now she opens it. So she's enjoying the height of the fence, just not the material. So I don't know what else to say. This is not rocket science. This is just a fence. It's a topper. So that's it. Thanks.
One moment. Does any of the staff have questions for the applicant, Vice Chair Lewis?
No, I'm good.
I do. Did you hire a contractor to put the wall topper?
I did.
Did he make you aware that because the existing wall was already 6 feet tall, that there needed to be a building permit taken out?
Well, my ex-husband is the one who initiated this. So he was the one who enacted the whole process. So I was not necessarily involved. However, this is my home, so I take full responsibility. So I was not part of that. It's only afterwards when our dear neighbor, whom we had a wonderful relationship with, decided to make this an issue. That's when I found out.
Okay.
So to answer your question, not beforehand.
And so you understand with the conditions that the planning staff is recommending is that now your existing block wall is a blue. The wood topper, which is now black, would need to be painted the same color blue. They're also saying you would need...
Not blue. They're recommending that the color be painted the same color as her wall. So not blue. Outside is black.
Right.
Her side is black. So I think that they're recommending that it be painted the same color as her wall, in order so that there's no differentiation of color.
Is that the case, staff?
Neighbors.
Chair Williams, yes. So we are recommending painting the wall similar color to the block wall on the side of the neighbor.
Okay. And you're aware that you're still going to have to obtain a building permit which is why they do also have the condition about having the structural engineer.
Well,
Did you have a chance to see the conditions of approval?
I've applied for the building permit already, paid the fees, did all the necessary steps. So unless I'm mistaken, this is part of the approval process, or no?
This is the part of the planning, the zoning, but the actual issuance of the permit is what the building department will guide you on at that point.
It's good that you apply for the building permit, and we just have to get through the planning process.
So basically, this is more of a mediation. So when you constructed it prior to, you probably went to your neighbor and said, hey, we're going to do this. And I mean, is that what you did before and everybody was on board till after the fact, or you just built it?
From my understanding, prior to my ex-husband erecting the wall, he spoke to both neighbors. One acquiesced. She acquiesced initially via text and said, no problem. However, once we put it up, she did not like the material, so that's when everything went.
What is it made out of?
Just wood.
Okay. So I didn't. Sometimes vinyl looks really nice. Wood
No, it's in my opinion, it's very aesthetically pleasing. It is an economical way to put a topper as opposed to doing the whole.
It's a very expensive block. It does look like it's been done in a workmanlike manner as well.
No, it has been.
Is there a way to zoom in on the picture to see the material?
It's wood.
I know. I want to see how it looks up close. It's too far from over here. So right now it's black. It's painted black. Okay.
On her side, it's black too.
Yes.
So
We had the option to leave it unfinished and So if you were to see it, both sides, there's a middle and both sides are up.
Okay. I see it now.
So we had the option to leave it open, but we went ahead and finished that side as well so that it could look good on her side. So it's not until after everything was finished that it was an issue.
Got it.
So on her side, her brick walls painted blue.
No.
All right, so this is looking from her side of the fence. So this is the side of the fence that would be painted to match that block wall below it.
Which is the neighbor's side.
So that's the neighbor's side. The applicant's house is the blue one.
So on the applicant side, we're not requesting her to do any changes or paint or what have you. We're just requesting on the neighbor's side to make it a little orangey colors to match the bottom brick wall. Is that correct?
That would be at the discretion of the Planning Commission.
So this is the neighbor's
That's
driveway?
the neighbor's side.
Yeah, that's the neighbor's side.
Okay, and what does the neighbor want?
I want it to be painted to match the wall.
Actually, we haven't heard what the neighbor wants. Neighbor can come back.
Come forward.
Yes.
So we'll right now, any more questions for the applicant? And we're going to hear from,
I don't know if we're...
How long has this walls been built? Just out of curiosity.
I want to misspeak. I think it's maybe April. So I guess a year ago.
Okay.
And I had one quick question. Is that what type of lumber was used in the construction?
I couldn't tell you the exact.
Does staff know?
It looked like a facial material.
Okay. Is it pressure treated or anything like that?
It is pressure treated.
Okay. All right.
Now, I have maybe a question for the city attorney. If we were to, let's just say we wanted it painted blue, for the planning commission to give that direction will mean that the contractor will have to go onto the other property line and paint it. And if that paint falls on the wall or something, then who's liable then?
I don't think they're asking. Are they asking you to paint your side blue?
No.
I'm not sure where blue came up to,
They're not asking to paint it blue.
but
Okay, so what?
asking
Yeah.
about blue.
Okay, so what are they? So what's the color issue here? Staff.
So if we look at this picture right now, this is the side of the neighbor. So staff is recommending we paint this side of the wall, or this side of the wall topper, a color similar to match that block wall right below it. The block wall,
That's what the neighbor wants?
that's what staff is recommending.
But does
It's on the other side.
that homeowner want it to match the block wall?
I believe their issue is with the material of the wall topper, and we're trying to address it through having the color match the block wall.
But do we know if the homeowner even wants that?
We reached out.
Well, we're going to hear from her.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I didn't catch your name.
Merlon. Merlon.
Merlon?
Merlon.
Merlon. Okay, thank you so much. We have any other questions? Thank you. Now we'll hear from those opposed. Is that Luce Osterhern?
Thank you for being here. My name is Luz Osterheim. I've been in this community for 39 years. And I don't agree with painting the the wood the color is of the actual fence. That wood isn't durable, it's not permanent, it's already splitting up. And when they were building it, excuse me, I went out there and I told them, no, it's not, I don't agree with that. It doesn't match my side of the fence. It disturbs the view of my patio. So I spoke to her ex-husband, and we talked over and over. I told him, if you want to make it higher for yourself and your privacy, do it on your side of the fence, not on my side. I mean, that is the common fence, right? It belongs to both of us. So I found something on the City of West Covina Municipal Code that says that the fence needs to be designed to match what is there. Okay, to do a block addition, not a wood addition. Block addition like it is there. It's been there for 30-some years. Okay, so I went ahead and advised him of that. I text messaged it to him, the portion that it says what the walls that needs to be matched, because it needs to be comparable with the surrounding area. And soon after I sent that, Mrs. Amazon decided to cut me off. She said she didn't want any more messages from me. She cut me off. She didn't give me no leverage, and just said, we're going to block this number, my number. So I didn't have no choice to discuss it with them anymore. And I think I deserve some common courtesy instead of just, I don't want to talk about it, just I'm going to ignore you, and you're acting maliciously. Okay? So at that time, I went to the enforcement code and reported it. And it's been a year since we're going back and forth. I have all the emails from myself and from them. They tried to contact her, and they totally chose to ignore all the requests for inspection and also for any kind of communication. So this topper has been built since March 2021. And ever since, we've been going back and forth. I've been going back and forth with the Code Enforcement Department. The Code Enforcement Department referred this matter to you, to the Planning Commission, and that's where we're at. I don't agree with painting the wood. No, that's not durable. It needs to be blocked the way it is, what it was. All these 39 years, there hasn't ever been an issue of privacy. No problems at all. So, where do we go from
I have a question. So, what happens if your neighbor gets it painted with a what is it called? It's a ward protective paint, coating, so it creates a little shine to it, but it protects the wood for the long run.
I'm not interested in that, no.
So
That's not what the code says.
So what are you asking? For it to be removed?
She can go ahead and raise it on her side, leave the wall the way it is, or she can use the same material that is been there for 30 years.
So I have a question for city staff. That wall, which parcel is it on? Is it in between the two houses, or is it on which parcel? Do we know? Do we know if it's in between those two houses on the middle line, or was it done on her property line or her property line? Because that will really determine.
We do not have a survey to make that determination.
Okay.
Okay, the previous owner of Mrs. Amazon's house worked with me. We both worked together to repair it because it was kind of working. I don't. We paid half and half.
Okay.
And it was discussed between us, but this.
And do you know if it was on you built it right on the middle line of between two parcels, or was it your parcel or her parcel? Do you know?
I believe it will be between because
Between? Okay.
the same side, on the other side of my house.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
So to me, it belongs to both of us, and I don't like the view that it gives to my side of the patio.
So if they were to take down the side, well, she said that she made an effort to put it on both sides so your side would look finished, but you don't like the finish. So if she was to take off the finished side off of your side, you know that you would see it would look probably worse.
No, we didn't go by that. I went with this building concept.
Yeah. So now she's going through the process of getting the proper permit. So I think
A year later, yes.
Yeah, so it looks like she's going through the process. So if that's a share wall, then if we take that area off, so technically she could still get the permit for
Her
the
side.
remaining area.
For the remaining.
So you'll have a half finished area.
Why isn't that according to what it says over here?
If I'm not mistaken, after you reach a certain amount of feet, it requires structuring engineering to look at it. So the applicant is now applying for the proper process and obtaining a permit to leave that up. Now the question we're running into is that we have a wall that's shared by two homeowners. So what do we do? How do we resolve this issue? And one of the ideas is that then if we take off that area where you guys are sharing, then you have the remaining left.
Well, when an officer from code enforcement came over, he agreed with me that that was out of code.
That it wasn't what?
Out of code. It's not compliant with the building code.
Correct, because they did not seek permits, so that's why they're here today. They're going to.
And that is it built to code?
Yeah, it's.
Yes. Is it built to code?
So they're getting their administrative use permit that's the request right now for the height. And I believe the applicant said that they did submit for plan check with building. So they're going through the process with building.
Okay, so there's nothing wrong with how it was built? Nothing.
The height
I
should
don't
be.
think that's before us, though.
That's
Yeah.
for us, and we don't know. I believe the homeowner, Malone was here earlier, and she's going through the process. She need us to approve or disapprove for that particular wall first before she can move on to the building department. So this is like a first step for us, whether it's to approve or disapprove. And it seems like if I hear it correctly, Commissioner Gutierrez is trying to tell us, or at least we're trying to figure it out. If the wall belongs to you completely on your property line, then pretty much you can do what you wanted to do. But if the wall belongs to her property line, it's basically her wall, and she can pretty much do what she want to do with the exception of the height increase. That's when we're here to approve. However, if the wall's in between the property line, what he was trying to imply is that now that they're finishing two sides of the wooden portion, if she were to only
Point of order.
I'm trying to understand, and we're trying to understand how this.
Point of order should supersede anything. What I'm asking is, I'm trying to figure out, do we have any more speakers?
That's true.
If we have any more, they should be given the opportunity before we get into analyzing the issue further.
There's no one else who's opposed.
Oh.
No, Madam Chair, but the applicant does have the ability to rebut.
Yes, we can go through that process first, and then we'll get back to this later.
But she left the room, so I don't think she heard anything.
No, she's here.
I know she just came back. Oh. So I'm not sure that she heard anything that was said.
She did.
Okay.
So the speaker has elapsed her time.
Okay, thank you.
So what happens with all the work the code enforcement has done on this?
I'm sorry, I don't understand the question.
Code enforcement was involved on this. They tried to contact her for a whole year. She ignored it. And all the time they spend and I spend trying to resolve this is just going to waste. Is that what it is?
No, that's how it got to here. That's how this code enforcement and all that got to us. And then we're going to make a decisions later on. That's why we're here.
So thank you, Luz Osterheim. We're going to let the applicant come back up.
Have a good evening.
You too. Erlon, would you like to come back up and address?
Yeah, Chair, to be clear, we're providing opportunity for the applicant to rebut if they want to. It is up to them. So.
I'm not going to belabor this. I just want to say this. Okay? If we're addressing the code pertains to the height of the wall. So the permit is to get approval for the height of the wall. It is not about the nuances of taste and what she likes and what she doesn't like, but if we're going strictly by the code and how code enforcement contacted me, I think that should be the issue, okay? Because no one else have told me that the materials or how it was constructed is an issue, so I'll just leave it there.
I have one question for you, and we always go by the code, but my question is, do you know where the wall on the property line lies within? Are you sharing the property line for that wall? Do you know?
I would have to get a surveyor to do that, okay? When I looked into that, the core cost was exorbitant, and I'm not going to do that for this wall because it's not really on her side. It's if worse comes to worse and she wants us to remove her portion, we can do that. But if we do that, it's going to be ugly and exposed. The whole idea of us closing that off was to make it look more aesthetically pleasing. So to answer your question, I do not know. But I believe it is within
Okay,
our
thank
property
you.
line.
Any more questions for the applicant? Thank you.
Thanks. Thanks for you.
So at this time, we'll close the public hearing, open commission discussion. So Paulina, at this time, everything is up to code. There's nothing that should stop her permit from being approved?
They're going through the process, right, this evening, getting the entitlements from planning to get to that wall topper to code.
Okay. To me, the topper, actually, I've seen very tasteful toppers. That looks actually nice. And, I see also, maybe the colors is what, the neighbor doesn't, like. But also, I see that the applicant went above and did her side as well, which probably cost her as well to try and please the neighbor. So, do any of the commission have anything to add?
Yes. So let's see. So in our approval today, are you asking us to approve the color of the wall? Or that was just an open idea?
It's a condition of approval to match the color, to match the block wall. So not necessarily a specific color, but somewhere along the matching lines of the block wall.
Okay.
Okay. I'm sorry.
Do we have any motions?
Wait, hold on. I'd like to understand this. So currently the block wall is at 6 feet. Is that correct?
6 feet at its highest point.
It's at the highest point to 6 feet. And basically our West Covina code is required for us to have only 6 feet or below. But if you want to go any higher, they basically need to request staff for a special permit or come to the planning commission for a special permissions to increase the height of the wall. Is that correct?
6 feet is allowed by right. Anything over 6 feet, but no higher than 7 requires an administrative use permit application. Anything higher than 7 requires a variance. So.
Okay, so staff seems to be okay to the height of the walls to go up to 7 feet. The only thing is that the staff is recommending to change the color.
That is the staff's recommendation. However, it's up to the planning commission. The planning commission has the authority to remove the condition or revise the draft condition of approval.
Now, city attorney, what happens if the wall is on a shared parcel?
The commission still has authority to condition this approval and approve the administrative use permit.
At this point, we have to assume that it's a shared parcel because no one knows who's or what, if it is or not.
But is it the commission's response? Does the commission have that discretion to determine whose property line it is on? No. What happens if it's on her? If it's on the one who's complaining's property line? Then we want to be in trouble.
Then that would be the responsibility of the property owner to prove that. But at this point, I believe the assumption is it's a party wall.
Those are assumptions, though, not the fact. We need to know facts. But I don't know. I don't think we could guess on that, though. That's the problem. I mean, I think you could technically they could go to they could go to the county assessor's office and get a free map. Or they could,
they would need a survey to determine where that property line is.
So, based upon what the city staff is telling me, I'll make a motion. Can I ask the homeowner a question again?
Well,
I'm sorry,
Madam Chair, I believe
the complainant.
Madam Chair closed public comment, I believe.
Are we able to reopen it?
I think this is actually.
I don't know if
I think we've given it this enough
Does she either
time
want
already.
us to cut the part where she's on, or I guess that's the question we don't understand.
So what you're asking is if she wants them to take her side off.
Correct.
Yeah, it would look worse. If you don't like it now, you wouldn't like it then. I'm sorry, let's open public hearing. Sorry.
Chair, you can open public hearing if you want to solicit additional
did one.
information, but we must provide the applicant opportunity to respond for whatever new information.
Did you want to pursue this question?
Real quickly, if possible. I just have a quick question. So is it okay to reopen?
Okay.
Okay. So my quick question is, just one question, and that is, do you want your side to remain up or not remain up? Okay. So if your site's taken off, you're going to have a remaining area that has it, but your site won't have it at all. So it may not look nice. Okay, that's my completion of my questions.
And does the applicant want to respond to that? Okay.
And then
It would be appropriate to close the public hearing again at this point.
Okay, we will now close public hearing.
I would like to make a motion to approve administrative use permit number 22-01 with the exception of that the city either gets the neighbor's approval on the paint color or leaves it as is in the process. And that's my motion. Because I don't think we could technically go on her property line without her approval.
Any other motions?
I'll make a motion to deny administrative use permit number 22-01. And I'll explain my reasoning here. My primary concern with this is that if we approve this with this mixed material situation, and it, unfortunately, it's an after the fact attempt at approving this, we're effectively creating the precedent for allowing this as sort of an ad hoc thing moving forward. I'm concerned. I'm.
The public hearing portion
Point
is
of order. Point of order, Madam
I'm
Chair.
sorry. You've already had your chance to come up and address.
My primary issue is that ultimately, if we're going to make a wholesale determination about something like this, regardless as to whether or not somebody has done this in a permitted in an unpermitted context, I think that we should hear from the general public with regard to that. And unfortunately, I don't have enough information from planning to make a determination as to whether or not this is something that we should be allowing wholesale as a matter of right. And that's unfortunately, that's what it is. I wish we had more information. If we had more information where I could very clearly understand that this was something that everyone's doing, everyone got it permitted, and we'd be cherry picking here. I'm not interested in doing that. But I think here, instead of being a planning commission, we're effectively taking the position, if we approve this, that we're sort of the acquiescence commission. And that's, if that's what we want to be, fine. But that's the reason why I motion to deny, based upon the lack of information that I have.
I would like to make a new motion, and my new motion will be that we technically eliminate, since there's an undetermination of where that wall lies on, if it's that neighbor's part or another neighbor's part, we have not been given that evidence. And so, out of precaution, I will make a motion to eliminate that area, the middle barrier between these two houses, if it's a share parcel, and that allow the other homeowner to continue on the process and getting the permit that she is seeking.
I didn't understand that. So you're talking about.
So right now we don't know who owns that brick wall. We don't know if it's shared on the parcel line, and legally, and the city attorney should agree on this, legally, we don't know that, so we shouldn't be voting on it, but on a different situation. But so we don't know where that property line is, where that wall, who owns the wall? Is it shared? Did they make an agreement to share that line based upon my experience in walking in our city, I know that many homes do have that in districts 1, 2, and 3, and 4. Not so much in District 5, but in other districts they do have designs like that. But since we don't know where that wall's, which parcel, who owns what, then the best option here is to eliminate their share area and allow her to continue on the process for the. She's doing it for the whole. So she's doing it for every wall she has, right?
No.
I'm talking to city staff.
No, it's approximately 42, I believe 42 feet long. It's along the front and a portion of the side.
Okay.
Up to where her patio, approximately up to where the patio is for the property owner.
So it's just on the two sides of the house? Because she says her other neighbor is fine with it.
Just one. Can you show the aerial? No, the presentation. It's along the front, and it goes to the side.
So that's the only area, a straight line.
It's L-shaped. It goes along the front.
Front and then all the way to the back.
Not all the way to the back.
And on the other side, or no?
Portion. No.
That's the only thing, that one side?
Yes.
So how does it affect the other neighbor? She said the other neighbor was happy with it.
Yeah.
Which,
So as partially visible from the middle view right here, I believe it stops right along there.
Oh, I get it. Let's see. Okay, I get it. So it's an owl. So put back the picture back up, the map. So it's kind of hard to tell, but it's a straight line and then the wall. So that's what makes it an owl. So it's the front wall. That's your base for the owl, and then you go the long line up. So therefore, technically that's the whole thing. So then I'm in my motion again to say that in order to continue in the process, that that the homeowner or the neighbor presents to this commission or to city staff evidence of who owns the wall, whose parcel is the property on.
Actually, I have a question for the city attorney. Let's say that if we were to approve the wall as is, and if the homeowner who does not like it can prove that she owns the entire wall, then she technically can remove what we approve. Because if that's her wall and she doesn't like it go more than 7 feet. Is that correct?
Yes, but I have to ask, has the neighbor actually claimed that it's her wall or it's on her property? I don't know that there's been a dispute over it being a party wall.
But we're approving something where we don't know who owns the wall.
We can still approve it, and if she in the future absolutely hate this thing and can prove that that is entirely her wall, then if she can prove that, then she does have an option to remove all of it without the next door neighbor's permission at all. Even though we approve it for 7 feet, she can remove it and keep it. It's her wall, basically.
Yes, if it's on her property, she can remove it, Commissioner Heng. And Commissioner Gutierrez, I do believe I heard during the public hearing she testified that it was a party wall.
It was what?
So the
Both.
I don't believe she officially knew that it was legally, that she just considered it to be
She said it was too expensive.
shared.
Yeah. Yes, the applicant did say that back then, before the current neighbor homeowner, they made an agreement to build that wall together or to make it, refix it and build it. That's my understanding what the complainant is saying. Now, but we don't know that. So.
Well, she also said in the middle of it, she did not approve of the look.
Correct. Yeah. So what do we? So legally, how can we vote on something if we don't know who owns the wall? Because if the complainant owns the wall, then she has every right to demand that erection be taken down. If it's a shared parcel, then we run into a situation that I think we need to look into to make sure, because we're not a judge to determine, oh, okay, you have a share agreement, then we're going to honor you, but not you. So where it's an undecided dispute that I believe that
That's true.
yeah, so I believe that if unless the applicant or the complainant can prove who owns the wall, then we bring this back to the next commission meeting for discussion.
So, Commissioner, there is an assumption under the law that a wall between two properties is a common wall. So the city is safe relying on that legal assumption unless, and the burden becomes on the party objecting unless they come with a claim or evidence that it is not a party wall.
Okay, well, that clears that up. So in that case, again, my motion would be to, I guess, approve administrative use permit number 22-01 and allow city staff to work with the complainant that if she wants a different color, that they determine a color that she prefers on her end, because it's her property at that point. So we can't just send a contractor on someone else's property to paint without permission. So we're going to run into another issue then. Is that correct?
So if I understand, the motion is to approve the AUP as written, but with the addition that the color will be chosen by the neighbor.
Correct.
I think that we should take into consideration what she wants. If she wants the other half removed, then let her half be removed, and then allow the applicant's side to stand.
Okay, well, so that would be a separate motion from what I understand the commissioner's motioning.
So that technically takes off the whole wall then.
Her side of the wall.
So,
It's her side.
so it's like the whole thing, though. You just have that little small area.
It's either to paint it or do what she wants.
That's the problem.
What she
Yeah.
wants.
So,
So it's
I was
which it's gonna
thinking.
be.
I was thinking before that it was the whole owl. So it doesn't make a difference if we eliminate one part of the wall. But let me see the front of that picture.
Commissioner is pulling up an aerial of it so we can kind of get a better idea.
Okay. I have a map. So technically, she has this small area, and it goes like that. That's her out.
So this is the applicant's,
Yeah.
and she has it just right here and all the way back. That's
Yeah.
it.
So, Commissioner, this is the front wall. That's the L, and then it goes all the way, I think, around to here.
Yeah.
So if we were to remove it on the fence adjacent to the neighbor, then all you would have would be the fence facing the front of the house.
So it's not even a very large portion.
No.
And I don't think it I think it looks better now with it than without it. It's just my opinion.
Yeah. So I'll make a motion to.
So, sorry, it would just be this area, and then the area along the side would remain if you did not give approval for that portion. It would just be here.
I think since the city attorney has clarified the law, and that because the complainant hasn't shown any evidence to show that she owns the wall, then therefore I'll make a motion to approve administrative use permit number 22-01 with the condition that the city works with the complainant to determine the color on her side of the fence.
So, Commissioner, my only concern about that is it leaves it a little open-ended as to picking a color or a deadline for that, or
Okay, so I'll clarify. Let me clarify. So let me say it again. I make a motion to approve administrative use permit number 22-01, either with the condition that either the homeowner, the complainant, either allows the current color to stay, or it's her, or at her discretion, she will allow, accept city's recommendation to match the color of either the brown color to match the brick wall. So currently, staff is recommending brown. So she has an option to either leave it black or paint it brown. So it's more narrow, and it's not broadened.
Okay, so Commissioner, I would point to the existing condition, which is in the resolution, section 5D. So what I'm understanding you're asking for is to approve the AUP, and specifically this resolution as written, but modifying condition 5D so that one of the condition of approval is the wood wall topper shall be painted to match the color of the existing block wall prior to building permit final, or alternatively,
Leave the color as is.
From what I see, part of that from the front of the house, if you were to paint the side, I mean, if they had only their gate or that part right there where it has it, and then it's got a different color, it's not going to match.
It's not
going to look good. So I think we just, where it cuts off from the portion where the houses start in the back, where she can see it, I think that,
And I will amend my motion to integrate the chair's recommendation.
yeah. So to be clear, I'm just trying to work on the language of the motion. It's yet to be seen if that motion is going to be approved.
Yeah, so I'll make a motion. So I'll repeat it. So I'll make a motion to approve administrative use permit number 22-01 with the condition that 5D be modified to indicate that on. And the chair could help me. Can you repeat your part?
The portion that is visible from the street beyond the portion where, I'm sure she has a gate right there as well. So where it goes to the backyard of the neighbor, that portion can be painted, but not the part you can see from
So the portion running between the property, the two
Yes.
properties.
Correct.
Yes.
Okay, so you're asking that the condition would be that the portion running between the two properties of the applicant and Ms. Luce.
Well, not the whole portion, just the part that's not visible to the street can be painted, because then you're going to have a half a color here, half a color there. It's only the portion that cannot be seen from the street. Does that? Do you
The
understand?
portion facing the neighbor.
If you want to, you want to put that back up? Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, but I think it's because these houses don't really have hidden views, so that's technically she either paints her side and leave the front
No,
side.
because there's a gate right there. Okay, so it's even on the side of her house. So I don't see that she has it.
6, 7. Yeah, so
I motion to approve as is.
So, let's see.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
So we have a motion by Chair Becerra and a second by Commissioner Gutierrez to approve Planning Commission Resolution number 22-6102. Commissioner Williams?
No.
Commissioner Gutierrez?
Aye.
Commissioner Hing?
Well, before I vote, can I ask, even if we approved as is, the homeowner who opposes can always paint whatever color she wants on her side. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Aye.
Vice Chair Lewis?
I have a comment, and this is my big concern about this overall precedent that it appears will be passing here, is that effectively, first in time, first in right, and guess what's going to happen? The floodgates are going to open, and someone is going to be like, you know what? I don't like that topper. I'm going to knock it down. I'm going to put up whatever I want, and then come in here and ex post facto get approved. And that's what's going to happen, and I vote no.
Now, what you're saying is that if we just vote for it as is, she can still paint it, which will not.
She could even come in for her own wall topper on her side of the fence. I don't mean to confuse it, but I have seen that.
I just wonder why we're deciding on. I feel like parents right now with two fighting children. But, this seems like this should be code enforcement, not planning commission. I mean, we can approve the fence, the height, but there's nothing else should be our decision.
Correct. Sorry, Chair Becerra, your vote.
Do we have to have the paint included in our vote? Can't we just approve the height and leave that to, so let's just approve the height. The rest, I think, is not something for us to be.
I think we already have a roll call. So what do we do now?
So there is a motion on the table, and the vote's already in process, so we need to complete that vote.
Unless can I amend my vote?
Yes.
Oh, you have to amend your vote.
Just about to say that. So the first and second
you have to amend your motion.
So just approve administrative use permit for the height of the 7 feet for the topper.
So
just to clarify, you're asking for removal of condition 5D, which is the one specifically addressing the paint color.
At this point, if she's going to go ahead and paint it, if we're saying that in the permit, that she could paint that wall anyways, I mean, if I was her, I wouldn't want to do it because, it's going to show just as bad from her side as from the other side. It actually looks better if it's been like she wants to go a little further back, like the next part that goes up. She wants to paint that part. But really, if she says that she can see in the morning or yard, that's on the side. I mean, who spends time in the side of the yard drinking coffee? You can't really see it. And I'm just being blunt. It's on an area where I'm sure she doesn't spend a lot of time in that little area there.
So I will second that to eliminate Section 5D to allow the complainant to paint her site at her discretion. So it eliminates that, yes.
So I'm
Basically,
sorry,
we
is that a
moved
second
it.
and a motion? Did we have a?
Just to confirm, Chair Becerra, that was Chair Becerra's first. Was the
Correct, yes.
So that would elimination of 5D was what you were amending, correct?
Yes.
Okay, and you confirmed. So the motion on the table now is approval of the AUP as written with the removal of condition 5D, which is the condition requiring a specific paint color.
And I'll second.
Okay, so then we have a motion and a second for approval of Planning Commission Resolution Number 22-6102. Commissioner Williams.
No.
Commissioner Gutierrez.
Aye.
Commissioner Heng.
Aye.
Vice Chair Lewis.
No.
Chair Becerra.
Aye.
Motion passes 3-2.
This action is final unless appealed to the City Council within 10 days. Okay. Next project also involved a request for general plan amendment to change its general plan land use designation from neighborhood low to neighborhood medium, and a zone changes to change the zoning from single-family residential R-1 to specific plan S-P. Who will represent the staff report?
Planning Commissioner Joanne Burns will present the staff report, Madam Chair.
Good evening, Honorable Chair, members of the Planning Commission, and also members of the public. The project site is a 2.26 acre vacant lot located in the southwest corner of Merced Avenue and Van Horn Avenue. The site was previously occupied by a school use that was demolished in 2018. The site is currently zoned R1 with a general plan designation of neighborhood low. A project on the site was previously approved for an assisted living facility. However, the project was approved into 2020, I believe, by the Planning Commission. However, due to the pandemic, there has been a decrease in demand for assisted living facilities. So the applicant at the time, has decided not to go through or continue with the project and is proposing a new project for this site. The request involves a precise plan for the site development, a tentative track map for the condominium subdivision, the general plan amendment, and a zone change from R1 to a specific plan. The tree removal permit application is an amendment to what was previously approved, which also included a tree removal permit to remove 38 significant trees on the site. The project requires a mitigated negative declaration of environmental impact. Here is the proposed site plan. The project involves the proposal of 39 two-story residential units. They are townhome-style units with a two-car garage in each unit. The project site is accessible through a driveway on Merced Avenue, and the driveway leads to private drives throughout the site that provides access to the townhome units and also the private open space areas. There are 8 guest parking spaces, which are located along, I believe 3 along this area and 5 along this area right along here. Each drive aisle is 26 feet wide. The proposed setback along Merced Avenue is 15 feet and also along Van Horn. As far as the interior side setback along the wash, the closest building is 13 and a half feet away from the property line. There are 2 areas that are designated for common open space. This area along here and also this area along here. And the total common open space area is 9,471 square feet. There would be a 6 foot tall tubular metal fence separating the property from the wash, and there would be a fencing along Van Horn and also Merced Avenue to accommodate the private open spaces in front of each unit. Each unit along Van Horn and Merced face the street. Here is a chart that compares the proposal with what's being proposed with the standards of the proposed specific plan. The proposal complies with the specific plan in itself, and the height of the building is below the 30 feet maximum height specific plan standard, and the common open space and private open space areas the proposal exceeds what is written in the specific plan. Here are photographs and a list of proposed plantings throughout the site. The proposal includes 33 canopy shade trees. I believe the proposed canopy shade trees are camphor tree and London plane tree, 4 palms, 15 small trees, and 30 tall vertical trees. Since the project involves a tree removal permit, staff has included required replacement trees in addition to what's being proposed, or with what's being proposed as to be planted on site. Staff is recommending that at least 19 of the trees that are going to be planted be at least 36-inch box-sized trees. Here are photographs of the site from Merced Avenue. The top 2 photographs show the site from Merced. This view right along here looks into the interior of the site from the driveway near the wash. The bottom photograph is across the street from the site, showing the wall separating the street from the single-family residential area. Here are his views of the sites from Van Horn Avenue. This is the site along here, and across the street. The bottom picture is across the street from the project site. So the applicant has assigned the project so that the entrances to the units along Van Horn and also Merced face the street, so that it's integrated within the existing neighborhood. So here is a rendering of the project as would be visible from Merced and Van Horn. The proposed architectural style is Spanish. The building materials include stucco that utilizes earth tone colors, S roof tiles, and window shutters. There is a condition of approval that requires the fence along, or the wall along Merced, to be redesigned so that it's consistent with the fence being proposed along Van Horn. So the site looks more open and more welcoming. The site, or the block wall and fence combination along Van Horn includes a 2-foot tall wall with a 3-foot tall tubular metal fence on top. Here is the color and material board. As mentioned earlier, the proposed colors are earth tone colors. There are 2 different color schemes. The doors and shutters will utilize either the blue or the burgundy color. Here are proposed elevations for the 400 building type, which is the 4-unit building. In order to be more efficient, I will only show this elevations for this building type. The maximum height, again, is at 28 feet. There are 3 different floor plans that will be utilized. The Each unit ranged from either 1,325 square feet to 1,475 square feet. Here is the proposed floor plan. So for this particular building type, all three different plan types are being utilized. So plans 1, 2, and 3 on each side. The difference on the first floor between the plans is basically plan 3 has a larger storage space in the garage. Here is the second floor plan. The difference in the floor plan configuration in the building types is that plan 3 has a 4th bedroom or loft that can be converted into or utilized as a bedroom. The other plan 1s and 2 have 2 bedrooms. 3 bedrooms. With the project, there are certain requirements that are required by code and also required per condition of approval. And one of these requirements are art in public places, development impact fees, park fees, and staff is requiring that the applicants participate in a home ownership assistance program. The minimum for this program is 50,000 square feet for at least 4 homes. And the people that would qualify for the homeownership assistance program are first-time home buyers, with preference provided to existing City of West Covina residents, and also moderate to low income families. As far as neighborhood outreach is concerned, a neighborhood meeting was conducted on February 9th, 2020 at Cameron Park. The applicants did send out notices to all neighbors within 300 feet from the project site regarding the meeting ahead of time. And according to the applicant, the developer has been continuing communication with the neighbors along Van Horn regarding their project. As far as legal notices are concerned, the CEQA public comment period was between February 22nd and March 14th. The public hearing notice for tonight's meeting was sent out on April 1st. As mentioned earlier, the project requires a mitigated negative declaration of environmental impact, and it was circulated, and comments were received. Oh, actually, one comment letter was received from the Los Angeles County Sanitation District. And as part of the Planning Commission packet, responsive comments were prepared for the comments that were received. The environmental, or the ISM&D, was prepared by Terry Hayes and Associates as the city's consultant. Teresa Lee is here to answer any CEQA-related questions, and she will go ahead and go over the ISM&D.
Good evening. So the California Environmental Quality Act, also known as CEQA, requires environmental review to be conducted if projects involve discretionary actions. To satisfy the requirements of CEQA, an initial study was prepared for the project, and based on the analysis of the initial study, it was determined that a mitigated negative declaration is the appropriate document for the project. Mitigated negative declaration requires that any potential significant adverse effects that were identified in the initial study be mitigated to less than significant levels. And under CEQA, the city is the lead agency for the proposed project, as the city is the public agency that is responsible for supervising and approving the project. The initial study evaluated 20 environmental topic areas. These topic areas are listed in the state's CEQA initial study checklist. Of the 20 environmental topic areas, 15 topic areas were determined to have no or less than significant impacts. And 5 of the topic areas were determined to have potentially significant impacts that could be reduced to less than significant levels with implementation of mitigation measures. The environmental impacts generally occur during construction. With regards to biological resources, the proposed tree removal and relocation could potentially affect migratory birds if these birds were to nest in the trees on the project site. Mitigation measure BR1 would require tree removal to be done before or after the breeding season. If the tree removal and relocation are to occur during the bird breeding season, a nesting survey, a nesting survey would be required no more than 1 week prior to the tree removal and relocation activity. And the tree removal and relocation can only occur if no active birds are detected. With regards to cultural resources, no archaeological resources are known to exist on the project site, since the site has been previously graded and developed. However, mitigation measures are provided because there is a potential that unanticipated archaeological resources could be encountered during ground disturbance activities. The mitigation measures for cultural resources are typically used to prevent the potential destruction of archaeological resources, such as mitigation measure CR1 that requires construction personnel to undergo archaeological sensitivity training prior to any ground disturbance activities, and mitigation measure CR2, which involves procedural steps that would be taken in the event of any unanticipated discovery during construction. These 2 mitigation measures are standard measures that are typically applied to prevent the destruction of unanticipated archaeological resources during ground disturbance activities. For geology and soils, potentially significant impacts are generally related to the potential discovery of paleontological resources during ground disturbing activities. Although construction of the project is not expected to disturb native soil, since the site has been previously graded and developed, and the project would not involve deep levels of excavation, it is possible that unanticipated paleontological resources could be encountered during ground disturbing activities. As with the mitigation measures for archaeological resources, the geology and soils mitigation measures are standard measures to prevent the potential destruction of unanticipated discovery of paleontological resources. These mitigation measures include training for construction personnel prior to ground disturbing activities so that construction personnel are able to recognize the appearance of fossils and understand the procedures for notifying a paleontologist if fossils are discovered. Mitigation measure GS2 involves procedural steps that would be taken if unanticipated paleontological resources are encountered during construction. With regards to noise, project-related construction activities would be disruptive to nearby residences. To reduce construction noise levels at residences, several measures are provided. These mitigation measures include the use of mufflers on construction equipment, using temporary noise barriers to be installed along the perimeter of the project site facing Van Horn Avenue, as well as along the perimeter of the site along Merced Avenue, from the northern perimeter at Van Horn Avenue to about 100 feet south of the street. Locating construction activities whose specific location may be flexible to be placed as far away as possible from noise-sensitive land uses. And in this case, the noise-sensitive land uses are the nearby residences. And locating construction staging areas away from residences, as well as establishing a noise disturbance coordinator to address any noise complaints that may be brought up. With regards to tribal cultural resources, no known tribal cultural resources have been previously discovered on the project site. However, as with archaeological and paleontological resources, mitigation measures are provided in case tribal cultural resources are discovered during ground disturbance activities. One of the mitigation measures would require a tribal monitor to be retained and be present during ground disturbing activities. The other mitigation measure, TR2, is similar to archaeological resources. If archaeological resources are discovered, the fine would be evaluated by an archaeologist and tribal monitor to determine if the resource is of Native American origin. And mitigation measure TR3 would include procedural steps if human remains are discovered and are believed to be a Native American or are believed to be of a Native American. These mitigation measures that I have just summarized would reduce potentially significant impacts to less than significant impacts. And during the public review period, one comment letter was received. The letter was from the Los Angeles County Sanitation Districts. It provides information on the capacity of the sanitation district's sewer that would serve the project site, estimates the project's wastewater flow, provides information on the San Jose Creek Water Reclamation Plant, which is the plant that would treat wastewater from the project site, and information regarding the sewer connection fee that the applicant would have to pay to the districts. The information provided in the comment letter does not raise any new significant environmental issues and does not change the impact conclusion of the initial study. In summary, the initial study and mitigated negative declaration found that all potential significant impacts associated with the proposed project would be reduced to less than significant levels with implementation of mitigation measures. I'm available if members of the commission have any questions, and the transportation consultant is also here to answer any questions. Thank you.
With that, staff is recommending that the Planning Commission approve the project. And, well, the staff is recommending the Planning Commission recommend that the City Council approve the project. Since the project involves a general plan amendment and is a zone change, the final approval authority is provided to the City Council.
Thank you for the staff report. Does any member of the Planning Commission have a question for staff? Commissioner Gutierrez?
Not at this time.
Commissioner Williams?
Not at this time.
Commissioner Hang?
Not at this time.
Vice Chair Lewis?
I had one quick question. So this site is currently zoned R1. In the event that that single-family residences were built on this property, we would not have to have a mitigated negative declaration impact, mitigated neg deck. Sorry, I always forget the turn of phrase. Anyway, is that not correct? So, in the event that this was not a specific plan, and we're approving the building of single-family residences on this premises, would we still have to have a mitigated declaration as well? Okay, so just so we're clear, what would be the size at which that is implicated?
If the project requires a tentative track map, which involves a subdivision of more than 4 lots, then it will require a mitigated negative declaration. If it's a tentative parcel map, it will not.
Okay, understood.
Actually, I'd like to ask add on to that question. So this particular lot is 2.2 acres. If it were to remain the same residential lot, is that each acre we're allowed to build 8 homes? So this potentially can be built 17 or so homes?
Well,
And with that, let's say that if they were using for R1, the negative declaration is still required because it's more than 4?
yes.
Okay, thank you.
Are we ready for the applicant? Just let them see if there's any more questions. Do we have any cards?
Good evening, Chair and Commissioners. Thanks for giving me an opportunity to speak tonight. My name is Matt Livingston. I'm the president of RC Homes. Thanks, staff, as well, for all your hard work on this. Our Vice President, Tim Sales, who's really been the project manager of this project, is here as well and can answer as granular questions as you like. I just wanted to point out that we've been in the city for a number of years now, and I've really gotten to know the neighbors really well. That's been a huge point of emphasis of ours, both when we had an proposed assisted living project, and then now with this project. I've been in their homes and in their backyards during COVID many times and really tried to be collaborative with them. Not everyone engaged with us, but we really focused on the people on Van Horn and across the street on Merced. And a number of them I've had meetings with. We've talked about different product types. We've talked about different architectural styles even, which is, as a developer that's feels kind of risky to be including neighbors in really important decisions. But I got to know them really well, and I found them to be productive and thoughtful people. And I think we reached a conclusion of a project that everyone is excited about, everyone that I've met with at least. And we've taken steps to not put traffic on Van Horn, which is really a concern of theirs. So we only have our access off from Merced. At one point, we debated having a 3-story product and settled on a 2-story townhomes. That was more acceptable to them. And I think it's a beautiful project. We used excellent architect known as William Hesmholch Architects, and we're excited to be here and build this project. We're home builders. We stepped out of our usual business a little bit to go into assisted living at the worst possible time. This project was approved, I think, a month after COVID, or 2 months after the other project, a month or two after COVID. That was I think almost 100,000 square foot structure. This is a much lower density land use, and I think actually fits much better with the surrounding land uses. It's Hearst Ranch on one side and that wash, and then it's single family on the other. So it's really, I think, a logical kind of transition from more kind of commercial and civic type uses into, and the high school is over there too, into a residential neighborhood. So Tim and I are both happy to answer any questions you have, and thanks for your time tonight.
I do have a question. I understand that you guys are asking as part of your approval for a vesting tentative track map, but I guess the track maps we were given just talks about tentative, and there's no description about the vesting, even when it comes to describing the condominium purposes. Can you elaborate?
I will give it a shot. The city might be better equipped to answer that question than I am. My basic understanding of the difference between a vesting tentative map and a tentative map is that a vesting tentative map, once it's approved, vests certain the development code and rights that are in place at that time. So if there's changes down the road to the city's code, our rights are preserved. I believe SB 330 probably makes that even a moot point at this point, but that's my
Yeah, Commissioner, it's essentially it vests once this commission approves, and once they spend a substantial amount of money, then it's considered vested, and they have a property right.
Okay, and on the condominium portion?
I'm not sure I understand.
Okay, in the past, when I have seen tentative maps that are going to be for condominiums or for townhomes, because they are two different types. Normally that's described in the tentative map. But again, I notice the tentative tract maps we have don't describe the condominium portion, since I guess that's what these units would be.
I defer to planning to answer
I
that.
think I could actually answer that one too. I think the condominium map will process separately, as it's just a separation of airspace, and I think typically that's viewed as less controversial is the right word, but it's. I think the important document is the tentative map, or the vesting tentative map in this case, that gives us the development rights, and then the condo map. It's kind of. I think it's roughly akin to recording like a final map where you're basically separating airspace.
So what will the final map say? Will it say it was a vesting tentative tract map that was actually finally recorded for condominium purposes?
I think we will record the vesting. The vesting tentative map will become a final map. We'll record that final map, and then separately we'll process a condominium airspace subdivision with the Department of Real Estate. I'm not sure if city staff reviews the condo map or not, but my understanding is we typically send it to the DRE.
Okay. In other cities here in just Los Angeles County, ordinarily, these maps would be shared with the Planning Commission as well as the City Council, so that they understand exactly what type of development it is that they are approving and what the description is of what's going to be sold.
I think the condo map is just going to follow the lines of the floor plan and the architecture. So, in between, if you look at the fourplex that was on the screen, for example, the condo map would then basically be superimposed on top of that, which would separate the airspace legally so that we could sell that separately.
And let me just add, I agree with Commissioner Williams. There's a variety of ways that these things are done. It's at first a single lot tentative map, and then there's a condo plan on top. As Matt said, if you were to look at the displays of the landscape plan and the plot plan for the site, the unit areas will be the individual plan areas of each of the units. There will also be some exclusive use common area where they have private open space, and the remainder would be a common area. So those will be the three delineations, and so we will provide that with planning to make sure that it doesn't deviate from that. But that's the sort of master plan for the condo plan, and it will be in conformance with that. But I don't believe it's a requirement here in the city to have a condo plan at this point, but we would certainly share that with staff and ensure that it's in compliance with whatever you may approve.
Commissioner Williams, if I can add to that, the tentative tract map does go before the City Council, so they will be reviewing it.
So I have a question. Let's see. For the Walnut Creek Wash, what kind of fence is going there? Or metal, whatever?
It's like a tubular steel fence.
Okay. Is that the white one in the picture? Feels like clear. This one? It's not on here. Oh.
There's some package. A very landscape package has some elevations of types of fences.
Is it like that the DIN metal bars, or?
It's basically like a 1 inch. It's like a 1 inch square picket. Mm-hmm. They're usually metal bars. It's a powder coated black, usually fence along the water property to 6 feet away. Basically, they'll just create a strong edge there along that.
And I think this probably falls in. And we,
I was referring to page L4 in the architectural packages. It's right before the last page that has all the pretty pictures of plants. There's some elevations that show the fence types.
would you be open to, because I know the Walnut Creek Wash has a lot of transients that walk behind there, and I know it's been an issue in a lot in District 3 and District 2 sometimes off that creek walk. Are you open to making that a solid vinyl fence or a fence in general or just some sort?
I don't have a strong feeling either way. I think we're open. I think there was debate about what's better for safety because you can actually see someone could hide behind a solid wall. And I think ultimately that's what drove the decision. I'm certainly not an expert in public safety, but I believe that's why it drove it. I think aesthetically they'll both look nice.
Okay. And then my next question is for your homeowners assistance program. Let's see. Down payment assistance program. I see that you, let's see. Leave a minimum of 4. Let's see. Where is it now? No less than. No less. Yeah. So it says establish a home ownership assistance program for no less than 4 homes. And I see that there's a allocation or a budget in general for that for $50,000. Are you open to making that $100,000 for that program? Allocating $100,000 for that program? Because I'm assuming you'll be selling these condos about over $600,000. The current market that's going right now, it's probably between 7 and 8. These condos.
I think we have to discuss that. We just were provided $50,000 years ago.
And do you have any? And so once these condos are built, you'll have a homeowners association. And currently, do you have planned to make parking restrictions in front of garages and so forth?
Restricting garages just for parking.
Okay. Okay, great.
We have to provide the HOA documents, CCRs to the city to ensure.
Right. Perfect. And do we know, or maybe see staff know, under the rules or conditions of approval, is there a parking permit program for like for the spots that you're going to have extra? Will you have a parking permit program or?
Typically limited to
Yes.
visitor parking, so we tend to discourage tenants or
Okay.
rather from using those.
Okay.
So in fact, we might have like a hangar program where someone might have a visitor pass. They have limitations on how many cars per day.
So you're open to creating a visitors pass program? Okay, great.
To make it fair, so everyone's 1 or 2 people are not using it.
Okay, great. And those are my questions for now.
I actually have a question. Predominantly, I'm not sure if it's probably to our planning staff, but it seems like the 2 big request item is the general plan amendment, which is from low to medium density. Now, low currently right now is it's zoned for each acres 8 units, and medium density is it increasing to 20 unit per acre. That's a general plan amendment that it's in front of us that you're requesting for. And the other one is the zone change. The zone change is in R1. I'm assuming that R1 is each acres you can build 8 units, and each of those units would be an R1. So basically in acres, and then changing it to Pacific Plan. I think our planner is looking into it. So those are the two big items that we are making changes to this particular development.
I'm sorry, Commissioner, can you clarify your question?
I guess I'm just looking at all the requirements or the zone changes that we're going through. One of the big one was the general plan amendment, and that was currently the area is zoned for low density, and we're changing it to, or they're requesting it to change it to a medium density. Now, the medium density, I guess the low density is 1 acre per 8 unit. I just wanted to see if you can confirm if that's it. And also the medium density is at 1 acre for 20 units. So in a sense, this current lot size is 2.2 acre. So if you do 2.2 acres times 8 units, I don't know, 20-ish or 20. Sorry, I'm so used to punching in my calculator. But you change it to 20. That's why 2 acres, you get 39 homes, close to 40. Is that, I would assume that would be.
We're not maximizing the density yet. It is a change. We really designed the project and then.
Right. So that's the changes that was requested. And the other one was the zone change, which is from the R1 to Pacific Plan. And the R1, I just want to clarify too, because an R1 is, I believe it's the same as similar what I had stated earlier with the low density, which is 1 acre is equals to 8 homes. One of those homes each is considered R1. So there would be 8 R1 in 1 acre. To Pacific Plan, which is putting everything into that 2.26 acres. Forgot what the number is. Yeah, 2.26 acre. Is that, can you verify the number in terms of the low density in the R1?
That's correct. However, based on the area district this property is in, it's in area district 1. The minimum lot size for that area district is 7,500 square feet.
Okay.
And there are also minimum lot widths and depths. So although that's the maximum density allowed in a medium-low neighborhood, doesn't necessarily mean that you would be able to fit that many units.
It could be lower, you're saying?
Yes.
Gotcha.
Yes.
Okay, so instead of 8, it could be potentially 5 or 7 or what have you. It depends on the width and the...
That's correct.
Okay, thank you.
I have a quick question. Will there be electric vehicle charging hookups or whatever the wiring needed for hookups?
Yeah, all of the garages will be pre-wired for the hookups.
Okay,
so
great.
The homeowner could just easily install the wall charger and be ready to go.
Perfect.
Are these the actual decorations that you're going to be, or landscaping that you're going to be implementing?
Yeah, everything in that package is part of the plans that are being designed.
Yeah.
Yes. So the plant materials, those are samples of the plant materials.
Okay.
So they try to do that so you get an image of kind of what the materials will look like, and then you can look at the landscape plot plan to see where each of those types of products.
It's very tastefully done.
And also, conforming with the state's new low water usage standards and so on. So conservation.
Is the community gated, or this seems like a very nice neighborhood?
It's a great neighborhood.
Any other questions? I mean, the interior, this division itself seems very, very nice.
I have a question. Will there be lighting in the parking or in the park area or the public areas?
I've been living this for 9 months now. Yes, there is. There's lighting that will be either bollard lighting, like along a path or along the central dining area. There's going to be some lighting on the back side of a separation wall that separates the barbecues from the other drive areas, and then some lighting on the trellis. And there's a number of decorative lighting fixtures which provide common area lighting on the buildings. They're not industrial wall packed things. They actually have decorative elements to them. Right here. And so, and the lighting is designed to be appropriate for pedestrian access for emergencies. So it's not like bright parking lot lighting. It's meant to be for like the appropriate candle foot so you don't trip and you know where you're going. And the same thing for the driveway. So, the city has standards about making sure the light's not polluting outwards and being overly bright. But it's finding the balance with safety.
Yeah.
Commissioner Gutierrez, I also wanted to mention, since you asked about heat charging, the homes are all electric, so we're not using natural gas, just to be more.
Great. And will you be open to, for example, I think there's like a bigger park area on the what's this, where the dead end's at? Yeah. Will you be open to working with city staff to determine if more appropriate lighting is needed in that area? Yeah. Just in case, so if kids are playing there at night, it's right next to a washway. So, okay, perfect.
Any other questions for the applicant?
I included the type of lighting is up on the projector. So,
thank you. Now we'll be calling all who are opposed. We have Lorena.
I'm not completely opposed to the project. Yes, I know we need more housing.
I'm sorry, can you pull the mic down a little bit so we can hear you better? Thank you.
Yeah, I'm not completely opposed to the project because I know it does need to be developed. I lived on the other side, which is the Devers side, which is across the street. So, if you look at the picture, my house is, you can see just the back wall of my house. So I would personally like to see single-family residence homes, to keep it consistent with what's already in the area, not condos or townhomes, that with consistent and lower impact on the environment too. I like my community the way it is. Like I said, it does seem like a very nice development, but I would prefer single-family homes. That's where, I think it blends in more and keeps it consistent and cohesive. That'd be my preference. So was that ever thought of to do that type of project by the developer, just build single-family homes? Yes, I know you're not going to get the more money on your return because there's less to be sold if you can only develop, let's say, 12 homes compared to 40 townhomes. So was that ever thought of to build single-family homes to keep it an R1 as it is? And that's just what I wanted to say.
Thank you. Did the applicant want a rebuttal to that? Did you want to address that concern?
I think we're all acutely aware of the housing crisis we have, and the ramifications of that are things that we can't get away from either as a developer. If we could build single-family homes and sell them for 80% of the price that a home goes for today, and still make a reasonable margin, we would do that all day long. But the unfortunate circumstances is we're in an extreme housing crunch. Prices have gone up, in stratospheric levels, and in order to provide housing that's remotely affordable to people, really the only way to achieve that is density. And I think in my opinion, it's fairly moderate density. We're not 3-story townhomes or 4-story townhomes, not a big apartment building. It would, to deliver 12 homes in this location, the prices would be astronomical, and I don't think would meet market demands right now.
Question, what would you guys be marketing these condominiums for, being that they're 1,300 to 1,400 square feet?
I would, right now, I would say, I think Commissioner Gutierrez is pretty much right on the money. I think they're probably in the ballpark of $600,000.
600,000. So, okay, and I understand what you guys have indicated and which staff has accepted in the approval that you guys would subsidize a certain percentage. I'm assuming it would be more or less whatever the down payment or close, or 10,000 per each of the four homes.
We're really looking for some guidance from staff on that. We're happy to participate in this program. I think there's been precedent set ahead of us with another developer, and they're working through those details right now. And other than making the economic commitment, frankly, I'm not sure how that gets rolled out and exactly what that looks like. And we're looking forward to this conversation as well.
I have a question. Actually, a couple, because she brought up some good points. Being that I am in the industry of real estate, so would the HOA be, what would that be? Do you already have a plan for what that amount would be monthly?
Compared to similar projects that we've constructed, I would estimate it to be about $200 a month.
Okay.
We'll build out. It'll probably start a little bit higher than.
No, that's actually very low, because, you know, it looks like you have an elaborate landscaping, and if it is for low income, then that would, if you give a high HOA, then, you know, that $400 HOA fee, you know, then they can buy the house for $800,000 instead of $600,000 with that high HOA. So that's one of my questions. That'd be a very reasonable HOA. And then when you were talking about the financing, one thing that I've seen in the market lately is the people who need down payment assistance, and there are down payment assistance programs out there, they basically don't have a chance in hell to get approved. They, you know, somebody with $400,000 down is going to beat them all day long. So that being said, if that was maybe something that could be marketed to people who are looking to apply for down payment assistance, that they would have a chance at getting the homes, that would be something.
Yeah, that makes sense. And you know, I think the distinction too is if you're selling, my wife's a realtor, and when she's selling one house or trying to buy a house.
So you hear it all day long.
She's like, oh, it's all cash buyer, beat us out. As a home builder, we generate an interest list, and then we pre-qualify people. So we're not really, people aren't competing like head to head like that, especially when you have 39 homes to sell. So it's rare that we see an all cash buyer. Typically, when we see that, that's like a red flag that it's going to be an investor. Mm-hmm. So we've got a number of mortgage companies we work with that you know, they're always pre-qualifying people. So our buyers are getting loans. I think it's actually we want to learn the details more. I think it's actually a pretty interesting program because one of the challenges with affordable housing is usually there's a deed restriction, and people that get into affordable housing lose the ability to have meaningful appreciation of their homes. And I think this is a pretty innovative program because they're kind of hopefully getting the best of both worlds, where people that, you know, have good income and have a good are employed, have a good job, but they just don't have the down payment for whatever reason, and they otherwise could qualify to buy the home, and then they're able to get the appreciation. So
right.
We're interested in learning more too, but it's pretty interesting.
Definitely. Thank you. Any other questions for the applicant?
Yeah, I had some questions. This is not an affordable housing project, is that? I didn't think so. I mean, based upon current interest rates, if unless you have like maybe what, 120 down for a $600,000 condo, you're still going to have to make in excess of six figures in order to qualify for a loan for a property such as this, right?
I don't.
I think it's a good point, and I think we have a lot of folks that work in real estate. I've done a lot of affordable housing in my career, and there are a number of programs that can be matched up with things like what the city is trying to do to be innovative, come out like from Federal Home Loan Bank, there are other grants, so you can start to put together a stack of affordable home ownership incentives and subsidies that might make that possible. Also realize that, you know, under moderate, moderate is 80 to 120% of area median income. So in the county of LA, and we don't really know the details of what the city has set up for how they want to implement these programs, so I could be saying something that's not correct. But if it does allow moderate, that does get into 4 and 5 person households that could be making over $100,000. So it's when you get into the home ownership realm for affordable housing, it tends to be sort of, one person with a good job, couple people with, sort of middle income jobs is the typical buyer, because they do need to be credit qualified and ready to go. So these kinds of additional monies are very valuable either for down payment or closing costs, or also increasing interest rate environment for rate buy downs, which is actually a really good use of the money. It goes a lot farther than giving just the cash into the deal. So, but you're on to something which is a good point, and there's a lot of ways to attack it. I think we're trying to help for buyers, so we'll bring our creativity and our network to try to leverage what the city's doing even farther.
I think sort of as a corollary to that, where you're talking about 4 and 5 member households, so you're pooling income so you can afford something. My concern is we have very limited parking in that complex. You're 2 per unit, and you have 8 guest parking spaces. I don't know. I mean, this is just my opinion, but I'm telling you, if I lived on Van Horn and I knew that was the affordability calculus, I'd be scared to death.
Can I clarify? We're not proposing an affordable housing project. I think
I know. I understand you're not, and that's
I think Tim's example was an affordable.
Right.
But that's not what we're proposing. I just didn't know. I think many people have put less than 20% down. I just don't know what that to qualify. I don't have it in my head what that you need to qualify.
Yeah, and I mean, I just did the math. I understand where the mortgage rates are. I'm an attorney. I deal with real estate all the time. Realistically, if we're talking somebody who has a low down payment, they're probably going to have to make $150,000 a year or something to afford that kind of a property.
No, they won't. I do mortgage for 20 years. They won't need $150,000. If the rates keep going up, they might.
At the current average rate, I believe, is about 4.78%. And so at that rate, you would have to, in order to comfortably afford that, you're probably talking about 150 household income. Again, beside the point. Sort of next question is, I understand the desire to, maximize your profits. I get it. I mean, that's what every developer comes in here with, is they want to maximize their profits because, that's what corporations do. What my concern is I look at this as an area that is entirely single-family residences. There's no exception to that rule in this area. There's no apartment building. There's nothing nearby. I know this area like the back of my hand. There is nothing like that. This would be a substantial deviation from that. And you're on Van Horn, you live on that street, and then across the street you have farmhouses. And so I don't really see how that is continuous with the community. I've seen projects that have been put in front of us that have been very thoughtful in this regard, where they're giving us single-family residences that are right next to single-family residences, and then having a transition into the new complex itself. And this doesn't do that. And I wondered whether or not you guys had considered something along those lines where, I understand Merced's a busy street. I mean, just because of Edgewood and obviously West Covina Unified District offices in Orangewood and the hospital and everything that's down the street. What I would like to see is single family residences on Van Horn, and then you could certainly do the farmhouse style on Merced, because Merced's a busy street. And that would be a natural transition. Have you guys thought of that at all?
We actually did, and I've met extensively with the neighbors regarding that. In order to get, again, this is not your problem, it's our problem, but in order to get a base level, adequate level of return, or to have a project that would make any sense, we would look at 3-story on the interior and single family on the exterior. And through my meeting, that's what I was saying, is a risky meeting with the neighbors. They actually prefer to have all the two-story townhomes. And so we did, that was actually one of our first site plans, had three-story townhomes in the middle and then detached homes along Van Horn. What we did do, though, is we have, I think our setback on Van Horn is enhanced, I believe, by 5 or 10 feet. I believe we pulled off of it beyond what the code would have required.
We're providing an enhanced interior parkway. So we have a 15-foot setback from our property line, but if you look at the landscape plan, per the city ordinances, you're allowed to work with the city and take maintenance responsibility for parkways. And then there's going to be our property line, then a parkway, and then the sidewalk. So it has an enhanced sort of setback from the or a transition from the neighborhood.
It's not 25.
No, it's not. But those units have large front private areas that are yards. Just to add to what Matt said, I think the reality is that there's also land sellers, and land sellers have certain expectations. So really, to make a deal work, we didn't tear the building down, right? It was so to make it be able to reuse a vacant site and meet expectations of people who were buying land. That drives kind of the economics of what it costs. So it's. We wish we could control all those elements and do those.
It doesn't appear that you're maximizing anyways the number of units you're able to build, so you're not making them look like apartment complexes. And the lot itself, having those units there will, get rid of an eyesore and, any homelessness that's...
One thing that we've heard consistently from the neighbors is they want something done.
Yes, exactly. So it'll remove a lot of safety issues that there are.
And and I know this is in District 1. So are you open to ensuring that, I think on Merced Avenue currently, there's I don't believe there's a much lighting on Merced Avenue, especially right there in front of that property. In front of where you're going to be building your new homes. And on your plans, I don't see any lighting going in there.
I think on L7, which says the conceptual landscape lighting plan.
Did it show on Merced?
Yes, they actually do show.
In the city, there are light standards.
Street lighting.
I do see.
So I think there's a condition for us to replace and modernize some lighting for Van Horn, but the city engineer didn't see the need for additional lighting.
I actually,
I walked, just to clarify, I walked that area and residents did not like how it was so dark. So
I think after the buildings are built, it's going to be a lot lighter coming from the house and what have you. But I do want to add on to Commissioner Nicholas' concern is that on Van Horn, what he's stating is that it's single residential, and a lot of time they do have a driveway, which give you an additional 1 or 2 parking space, normally 2. They have a 2-car garage. But in R1 zoning, normally you build after 3 or 4 bedrooms, you have to have a 3-car garage or so. I forgot how many it was, all that number. However, with these units, they're all 3 bedrooms or 4 bedrooms, but the garage size remains just 2. As a developer, we can see as the planning commissioners that whole neighborhood, especially on Van Horn, it's the additions of from 18 or from less than 18 units to 40 units. That's going to be a huge impact in that particular area. And I was wondering if you have any or give any thoughts about perhaps give it a 3-car garage and then build up. The first story would be the garages, and then the second would be the living room. I've seen this built a lot, and then the third would be the bedrooms. So this way, it won't impact the neighborhood as much. I mean, yes, it looks really nice and all, but at the end of the day, you're talking about 40 residents coming into the neighborhood with 3 bedrooms each, and if each has 1 car, you're not going to have enough to parking, and they will park on the street because it's a public street. So I guess the question comes in is after a year or 2 after it's built, the whole neighborhood area, they may not think about it now, but it will. I mean, those are options or things that as a builder you can address right now, because giving us two garages with the fact that if we were to keep the same zone in that general area, which is an R1, they can potentially have the driveway can park 2 cars, the garage can park 2 to 3. That's 5 cars per unit. Potentially, I'm just saying. And then they have, if extra flow into the street, then they can park in the street. But when we're building 40 units that is compact in this way, there's no driveway for them to park on. They really only have the garage and the extra 6 or 8 extra guest parking that we have. So have you give us some thought how we're not going to be, I mean, I love the development, but at the same time, address the parking issues that District 1 and District 2 had a huge impact and always on parking.
So parking is hotly debated, I think, on every project we've ever been involved in. And so the neighbors on Van Horn are not unique there either. That's one thing that we've talked extensively about. And a couple of things that we did, we designed the project intentionally not to have garages facing Van Horn so that people were not inclined to drive down there and then enter. They really do not want traffic or parking on their street. So we don't have an access road on Van Horn. We don't have garages facing it. I've done some research on their behalf with staff about having permit parking on their street. And I've told them I would support them and help them in doing that if that's what they wanted to do. I think that's would be a little bit odd not to allow other residents to park on Van Horn, but there is parking on Merced. Our home buyers we're not anticipating, I don't want Tim's example to be misconstrued. We do not anticipate multiple families or large households buying these homes. These homes are intended for first-time home buyers, and they're intended for young families. We don't expect there to be, and we've got actively selling projects that are very similar right now, and that's exactly what we're seeing. We do not see teenage age children that are driving and living in these homes. We typically see the parents have 2 cars, and if they had, we don't see them having. I think it's very atypical for someone that's living here to have 3 cars, or if they came from somewhere with 3 cars, they typically don't show up with them.
But those kids will grow up and they will drive. Just like my brother's kids. There were 3 of them, and now they're all driving.
I see that you have 2 areas for park in there, each around 9,000 square feet each. Is that correct?
I'm sorry.
Grassy areas in there for each around 9,000 square feet?
I don't know if it's 9,000 square feet total.
Oh, is it total? Oh, okay.
And 11,000 square feet of private open space. So they're about 4,500 each.
Is there any area of those that can be converted to parking?
We have to maintain our open space requirements per the underlying zoning as well as our specific plan proposed zoning. So, unfortunately, and I think that really the buyers really want the open space amenities. The community along the street that we've been talking to wants to minimize sort of the vehicular access and parking. So we tried to listen to those sources, and we did have people come from across Merced to one person come from our indoor creative workshop and express support and like the project. So
we also have support letters from the people that live on Van Horn as well that we provided to staff.
Like she was talking about, Commissioner Hang, when she was talking about the 3-car garage, like the tandem ones.
Our experience is that people want a house to live in, not a house to park in. And if you're that's a trade-off that you have to make. And if you're going to add, I don't know that I'm not going to say I've never seen it. I don't know that but I don't remember ever seeing a townhome project with 3-car garage. I think that would be highly unusual. And that's, you've got limited living space.
But it's been done. Let's just assuming that if the commissioner here are willing to help you and you are willing to help us with the community. I mean, it's a beautiful project. Don't get me wrong, this is a beautiful project, but there are some concern regarding parking issues and the people who are living here and how it's impacting the neighborhood around that area. So I've seen project here, Northern California or even Santa Ana, what have you, they had the first stories as a parking, the second as a living room and kitchen, and the third as a bedroom. If we were to, I understand that the height limit might be an issue for you guys. If we were to increase it to 35 feet, that's just, I'm just assuming. Would you be willing to entertain that to give us more parking? Otherwise, your choice are to reduce the sizes of the units, potentially to less number than 39.
Very difficult for me to stand up here and say we would just to decide right here to just tear up 2 years of work. It's a matter of work and start over with a new product. We spent a lot of time with the neighbors, and I think we've reached a consensus that they're happy with. I think I've done a very good job of listening and working with them. The parking that we're proposing is consistent with the city's code for this type of density. So we're not trying to. And I believe if you look at the Meritage Cameron 66 or Cameron 56 project that they just built, I think that they're actually have less parking than we do, if I remember.
Yes, and they have come and tell us that there's parking issues already. So
they're also in the downtown plan, which I believe did not require guest parking.
Correct.
Correct. Yeah.
Correct.
So can you confirm how many parking spaces, how many two-car garages are there?
They all have two-car garages.
78? 39 of them each has two-car garage. Okay.
Plus guests.
Is there any way you can add some more parking?
I think we've looked at it pretty closely.
You know, the site is very
take off the barbecue.
in the geometry of the site being a triangle, so it's surprisingly difficult to squeeze additional elements in there. And I think also I just wanted to mention that these are sort of, even though they cost what they cost, this is like an entry-level product. As people age in place, they tend to move to a different location. So I think, as Matt said, this is intended to be for young couples, maybe with
small families.
You know, one or two. It's not multi-generational families. It's not really configured that way to be able to have an older adult living downstairs and so on. So the intent for it really is it's a starter home that people then would move up to, a larger traditional home as they have additional needs for additional parking or additional amenities or larger lots or whatever.
I agree with that, but I have a question. Where your barbecue's at, can you show the map? I found a way so you can add more parking. Let's see, so where your barbecue's at on the, right there where the arrow's at, you can move down more towards the wall area by Walnut Creek Wash and add at least 3 more parking spots right there.
And I think the challenge becomes that we have open space, and there's a code requirement for a certain rectangle size of open space that is usable open space. So
I think we could give you. Can't they get a variance for that? So is their plan currently asking for a variance on open space? I don't see a lot of open space.
They're applying for a specific plan, so they can tailor their specific plan to.
Yes. So you could deviate according to city staff. So are you open, which if you go to the city council, you could say the opposite, but this is not going to cost you a lot because you're not changing any architectural design. All you're doing is moving this little square to the square against your metal gate and opening up some more spots right there, 3 to 4 spots more.
So basically, the 3 spots that are to the next of it, you would lose.
Yeah, so
Because nothing deteriorates a neighborhood more than a bunch of cars parked on the street.
move it right here, and then now you have more spots for parking.
Everything comes with a trade-off. So
As a community this side, you do need a little green just for the dogs to walk. Eat,
Well,
poop.
it's either they give green or we either give them green or we give them parking. So
But there are other
Yeah, both.
options that the developer can go through up, basically, so that you can park your garage on the first floor.
Putting aside completely redoing all of the architecture, and then
Yeah, that's very expensive.
We spent a lot of time working with the neighbors, and the consensus was 2 stories, not 3. So now for me to go back into their homes and say, sorry, we need to park like crazy this site. So, I mean, for me, we all have our own opinions. If I was going to live here, I would prefer to have the open space and not design a project around parking. It's a trade-off, and we're trying to balance the city's. Even though we do have a specific plan, I believe we're meeting that the medium densities requirements for open space, and we're meeting the medium densities requirements for parking. So we're really following the city's lead here on what staff has decided is the appropriate balance between those two. I really would hate to design a project based on parking. I think it's going to limit the street appeal, and it's we're in a world where public transportation has been really pushed. We've got a bus station right around the corner from us, right across Orange. So to design a project just based on fitting in as many cars as we can on a site, my own personal opinion is that's not the right approach. Having open space, having more livable area, being creative with that livable space.
I have a quick question.
Sure.
You mentioned public transportation. What incentives have you seen with regard to any of your developments that have caused future residents to adopt public transit?
I'm not sure what incentives.
So okay, this is a bedroom community that this is being proposed to be put in, right? So what I'm trying to figure out is what incentives do you think would be available to get people who live there to adopt public transit rather than the car culture that is Los Angeles County?
Having effective public transportation is the first key. What incentives have I seen?
I think it's a larger issue than just a single development. I mean, certainly this planning commission has seen complete streets plans that the state is now requiring to encourage the last mile connection. We certainly understand mode splits changing with regards to Uber, Lyft, other sorts of short distance travels. I don't know if the city's adopted anything about Bird and all those kind of scooter things. So it's a mentality shift as well as an infrastructural shift. And so it's early days. There may be direct incentives, but the larger context is just.
I'm sorry not to interrupt. What I'm trying to get at is you guys have done more than one development. This isn't your first. Sure. What I'm trying to get at is with regard to a development that is like this in the middle of single family residences. Have you seen any success stories on that? Because frankly, I'd like to know.
It's early days. We've had projects where, given the new state move towards measuring vehicle miles traveled versus level of service or intersections, that some jurisdictions have used things like encouraging a school pool program at the HOA level or other things like that. It's too early to know how the outcome of those things will be, because that's a whole new program. Some people have used direct financial incentives. I can tell you there's been a lot of research about discouraging, encouraging transit use by limiting parking. So providing a parking supply is not really the long-term solution to encouraging, that positive outcome of people being able to have multiple ways of getting around. So I hope that addresses it. There's nothing definitive.
Yeah, understood. So you mentioned like Uber and Lyft, for example. What I am curious about, just because it sounds like this city council is looking into adopting that kind of point-to-point as its transit method. So, what is it? I'm concerned if that's something that we're trying to promote. We're trying to get people out of car culture. I'm just trying to figure out like the flow of the property, how that would work in terms of where people could be picked up or something like that. I mean, if you want it, again, that's something the city council seems to be predisposed to do. I don't know whether or not that's ultimately going to happen. But, you know, is there like a designated drop-off pickup point or something like that on site? So that people aren't...
Assuming that all of the parking spaces are taken, I would imagine that they would basically idle in front of a garage until the rider came out.
Okay.
And if Uber drivers are like the ones that pick me up, they stay for about 30 seconds. And
There's also the centralized mailboxes are going to be on the main entry there. There's a pointer to it, and that's a place where USPS is going to, you know, deliver mail. That's a pretty easy place to say, hey, pick me up here.
Mm-hmm.
And then you can make the loop back around through the interior and exit out. But again, no dedicated space, but definitely plenty of opportunities. And remember, you know, if you look at the traffic study, the number of, you know, AM, PM trips out of here is pretty low.
Mm-hmm.
So there's not going to be a lot of traffic internally. So almost anywhere in there is safe for someone to pick up.
Commissioner or Vice Chair Lewis, there's also a Foothill Transit bus stop a block away from the site.
I don't know if you've got Metro Micro here yet, but that's a new thing that Metro's doing to have basically almost a dial ride. Any transit.
We have dial-a-ride here, so yeah.
Yeah, and it's dial ride for the masses. Anyone can use it. It's not even limited to age group or disability.
Got it.
And so here in preserving green space, I think there's still a way to move the barbecuers back against over here and put the tables on the left and right side of that barbecue area, which therefore gives you more parking spots while also preserving that little green space that's already there.
Commissioner Gutierrez, even if you move the barbecue, you probably gain one parking space at most.
No, you could gain probably 1, 2, 3, 4, about 4. Because you're moving this whole area to the against.
The total
back
green
area.
space is only 947 square feet. So, no. 9,000.
Okay, great. So, and then also, are you open to putting more lighting in between the middle buildings? I see there's not much in the middle. I'm looking at the light plan. Are you open to putting more, what's it called? What's it called?
I think on that landscape and light,
Bollard.
they show the lighting that's going to actually be affixed to the building besides the pole lighting.
So in the facade between those two facing buildings, fourplex and I think sixplex, that's correct. Commissioner is right. There's a photometric study that's done, but you don't need to have the bollards because it's so close. You have the lights that are completely, which are actually on a common area circuit, so you can't turn them off. They go on centrally, so provide light into that. Each door would have one that's in. I don't know if that.
But what happens if they have them all off, and the police department's chasing someone? So in the middle area, I'm looking at your light plan.
Yes.
I see. Yeah, I'm sure your porch lights are. That's if they turn them on, but.
No, that was my point. That this plan is only showing lighting that's in the ground. There's also additional lighting. And those lights, even if they're at your front door, they will be on a common area circuit, so you don't.
Oh, okay. I don't see that here, but yeah, okay, great.
I had the same question of our purchasing.
Okay, great.
You guys are getting into granular
Yeah.
details, and that's great. And that's just as you show up on that.
So I know the residents of Van Horn were very concerned about it being dark in our street. So are you open to putting more? What's it called? Bowlers. What's this? What's it called? A bowler.
I don't think we have an objection to that. I've heard things, not specific to Van Horn, but I've heard that cut both ways, where we've had people complain that a new project was going to bring too much light. So I think it's there's lighting experts that analyze that and make recommendations to us. I don't think we have an objection or preference either way.
It's an objective standard. I mean, I think there's certain standards for the city as to what's appropriate lighting on the streets, and then there's standards in the building code about what's appropriate for egress lighting for safety. And those are what we tend to follow. I guess I'm just concerned about committing to something that's going to be blowing that out because I think there's a tendency towards trying to create.
So you're open to working with city staff to ensure that there's accurate lighting. Okay,
and
perfect.
Through the whole plan check process, they would ensure that it meets all.
Okay, great.
Absolutely.
Any other questions?
The only question I had, I know that they will have their trash barrels. Are they going to put those out in the drive area on the day when the trash company comes to pick up and dump?
They have spaces inside to store them,
Right.
and then they'll put them out. They'll be picked up by Athens, and then they'll come back. And we'll have controls in the HOA for that to ensure that people do not store them in the exterior. In addition, we're putting a couple locations for future use for the green waste. It's not quite yet shaken out how that's going to be done, but we're putting places where it used to be that these projects were designed around parking, now they're designed. So it's trash.
Okay. Can we close the public hearing? Are we good?
One more question, sorry. Yeah, so great. And my last question is, and I know I asked this in the beginning, and I know, so there's 39 units being built, condos, and we know that in the market, I mean, in reality, it's very hard for individuals to afford down payments and so forth. So are you open to going back, whatever the commission decision we make today, and obviously it'll eventually go to the city council, but are you committed to seeing if you could raise that to a budget of $100,000?
We could explore it, certainly.
Great. Great. Okay, that's my question.
Okay, at this time, we'll close public hearing. Thank you. Do we have a motion?
I would like to make a motion to approve General Plan Amendment 21-01, Zone Change Number 21-02, Precise Plan Number 21-02, Tentative Track Map Number 83576, Tree Permit Number 20-01, Amendment, Mitigated Negative Declaration for the applicant RC West Covina, LP, care of Matt Livingston, with the exception that they work with city staff to ensure there's accurate lighting in the area. Based upon me visiting these neighbors back then, I know there was a concern about being very dark over there and the crime over there. So I would urge the applicant to work with city staff to make a condition of approval that they work with city staff to ensure accurate lighting, and that because this is a big project that includes 39 condos, the conditional use permit, as a condition that they set aside a minimum of $100,000 dedicated to the homeowners assistance program. And that's my motion, which could always be changed at the council level.
Is there a second? Actually, the 100,000 divided by 39 is only about a little over $2,500. Do a seller credit towards closing. There's 4 homes. Okay.
homeowners assistance program for no less than 4 homes.
You're only increasing the amount to 100,000, correct?
Correct. Because they have a budget for 4 homes, or no less than 4 homes, for 50,000, which I think is low compared to them building 39 brand new condos.
Well, at $50,000, that's $12,500 in credit. They cannot give down payment to buyers. It's not allowed. So that actually is about as much as they can give as a seller credit. The down payment assistance would have to come from a program, a government-funded program.
Okay, so in that case, I'll amend my motion.
Just remove that part about the 100,000.
Yeah, so I'll remove I'll amend my motion to put it back to. Is it possible to go 5 homes? And technically, right now we have it at. Let's see. Let's do the calculations.
Well, then actually that 50,000 could go towards 5 homes because the closing costs are usually around 8 to 10,000.
Okay, perfect.
Let's say 10,000.
Yeah, so I'll amend my motion to say that it stays at their allocated budget of 50,000, but that they establish a that they establish a homeownership assistance program for no less than 5 homes. And that's my motion.
Is there a second motion? Any comments? Anything that the commission would like to see so we can make a motion?
Or I guess, or I'll amend my motion just to approve it in general.
Is there a second motion? Right. Do you have a comment? And what were your reasons for to deny?
So, as I explained, my concern about this project is that this project is in a entire, no exceptions, but residential agriculture for 4 holes to the wall. Most of it is specific civil for this site. This is affected the town. This isn't town. For those reasons, deny their application.
City staff, was all the homeowners in Van Horn notified through mail? So
Yes.
there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 homes on Van Horn.
Yes, they were all notified.
So I know when I'm walking there at night that the the establishments on Orange are pure dark most of the time, which is one of the reasons why the residents around there wanted more lighting and a development to occur, because currently there's no school or nothing else that's going to go there on an empty lot like that. So we have to be realistic and realize that housing is probably the best option, especially when we're on a housing requirement plan that we as a city have to meet because of state requirements. And so saying that it should remain nothing there or keep it dark and have transients there and committing crimes, which is occurring because I live in District 1. I know that that's happening there. then I will urge my colleagues to somehow support this project, because keeping it vacant is not the solution to the local residents in that community.
Commissioner Hang, do you have an opinion?
I like to add that I do agree that we do need housing, and it's a beautifully designed development. However, due to the fact that it's highly single residential area, my concern was addressed earlier. I think the developer can request for certain. I'm more than willing to go up so that you won't inundate the area with parking. Maxing out the area, I'm fine. You're maxing out more than what the neighborhood area is. Front setback, side setback, there's no back setback, just only driveways because of Pacific Plan. So in terms of lot coverage, in terms of residential lot coverage, you're maxing out 100%, which I don't mind. However, you need to address the future issues that we were having, and going on, home are very expensive. Adult childs are living with parents a whole lot longer. And that's not going to go away. So I don't know how we're going to address the issues. Not like in the old days when they're 18, they're out of there.
Would it be a good idea to continue this to allow the applicant to see if there's any? I understand you put a lot of hard work into this, and we really appreciate the fact that you want to do this build in West Covina. I think you've heard the concerns of the commission, and maybe if you think that there might be something you can do to appease the concerns that we have regarding. There were some good ideas that were proposed regarding maybe, and I know that you've thought about it. You said that you did, regarding single-family residences being built on the side of the homes. Does anyone?
I think you have to be. I think we also need to be considerate that not all investors are as wealthy as some other investors, and that depending on the project and depending on the local area, that all has dependencies. So
we're not saying that not to develop an area. However, you ought also, everything is suited to what the developer wants and needs. We also need to be concerned and mindful about the area and the neighborhood and the long-term effect of the neighborhood. Obviously the housing number is great that we can add on, but there are certain things that developer actually can do and can adjust, and you may have a plan that you can pull off their database. I'm not sure, but.
Now, one thought that we may want to give, my understanding is this project had actually been approved as an assisted living facility, and only because of coronavirus, that became a non-go project. And so what they attempted to do was to come back, and my understanding, I guess the building was going to be 100,000 square feet, much larger. However, what they attempted to do was to come back and do something that was residential. And if I'm understanding from the developers, they did reach out to the neighbors. And one of the things that they did agree upon, they said the neighborhood did not want 3-story. And so they did go back and they made a change to make it no more than 2-story. And as they said, the entrance is going to be from the Merced side, because they heard what the residents said on the Van Horn. And they, the way that they have laid it out, that's what they're attempting to do, is to make sure that whatever parking is going to be funneled within, or as they said, there would be available street parking on Merced. And remember, the neighborhood that is across from Merced, that's actually, I guess, their backyards or side yards. There's a wall. And so that particular neighborhood area is somewhat buffered. That may be some thought that you may want to give. And my understanding, at least from these plans, they were dated from December of 2019. So they have invested time and money.
So are you motioning for a second?
So
I actually like to add, out of all the commissioners, I was sitting here, the only one that was here today when we approved it, the assisted living. And one of the reasons I approved it that way for the assisted living was the assistant residents supposedly are not driving majority of the people there. So for that reason, there are different reasons for different projects. So I just want to add that at the time when we approve with the assisted living, we're assuming that most of the resident who will be living in the facility will not have a car.
But there's also the fact that people don't stay in their first homes or a condo. Nobody wants to live in a townhome or condo forever. They will move. They will sell. They will want a home.
yeah, so I know. I mean, I'm sure the residents will want this project over an assisted living home, because sometimes assisted living homes bring people that the local community don't want, who have committed crimes in the past. But looking at the design, you can see that it's like Commissioner Williams said, it's 2 stories because of what the residents demanded. And when you look at it, their houses, they're technically 2-story houses. It's just they're all together. So, which
I agree.
So they look really
Very
nice.
well planned out. I will motion a second.
Sorry, can we get clarification? The motion on the floor was from
was
the chairs to approve.
As is.
Yes. So it was my motion is to approve General Plan Amendment number 21-01.
As is, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so no changes.
Chair and Commission, just as a point of order, this is going to be a recommendation to the council, so certainly the Commission can also include in that recommendation specific items of concern you want the council to be looking at.
Well, the parking issue we'd like them to look at, but again, the open space, and I mean, we've had, and we're not saying that you need to, but we've had actually developers before give up a unit here or there for lower the number to make it more feasible for the tenants there. I mean, I really think that the parking will be somewhat of an inconvenience, even if you have like family that come over or some visitors. Everybody has visitors here and there. It just doesn't seem that it's enough. I would highly recommend that you rethink something.
And I know when Joanne or Paulina presents this to the council, I'm sure they'll share some of the concerns that the commission had today. But I would urge the applicants to do make sure that you visit those homes on Van Horn and you create some data for the council so they could obviously make the decision based upon what the local residents want in that area. So
if you have a gate, though, on Van Horn where they're not allowed to come in, that there's not going to be an entrance there, right, on Van Horn? So, so nobody's going to want to park there and walk all the way around.
Yeah.
So they won't be,
Yeah, so like many other projects, the developer will tell the commission or the city council how many residents actually support the project, and sometimes they'll encourage them to come speak at those meetings. So it's very, I would encourage that. So yeah, that's my motion, and then.
And also to add on, I like to see if the recommendations that we give to the city council might be possibly to increase each unit's, the parking spaces, possibly the heights might be increased. I mean, obviously right now you're limited also by the heights of 30.
They've already spoken with the residents, and that's what the residents want. They wanted to keep it 2-story, and they've already promised them that. So we want to do what the residents want.
Okay, so just back to clarify, your motion is to approve these resolutions for council approval, and then to have the developer considering additional guest parking.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And do we have a second?
Second.
Okay. So we have a motion and a second, and I'll read all the resolution numbers so we can get that on record. The mitigated negative declaration resolution number 22-6103. General plan amendment resolution number 22-6104. Zone change resolution number 22-6105. the precise plan resolution number 22-6106, and then the tentative track map resolution number 22-6107. Commissioner Williams?
Aye.
Commissioner Gutierrez?
Aye.
Commissioner Heng?
Aye.
Vice Chair Lewis?
No.
And Chair Becerra?
Aye.
Motion passes 4-1.
And I would like to say, I would like to thank the developers for creating a homeowners assistance program in the city of West Covina. I know this will be beneficial to the many residents who currently rent in our community, and I thank the developer for choosing West Covina and embracing our city. So thank you.
Final action on this matter will be taken at a public hearing before the City Council on a date to be determined. There are no non-hearing items. Commission reports, comments, miscellaneous items. Would any of the commissioners like to report or comment on an item? Pauline, are there any items to report to the commission?
So the city held community workshops within each of the districts within the city for the development code update. Those have concluded. However, individuals, stakeholders, residents, interested individuals are still able to participate in taking that survey. It is available on via our website. It is a dedicated website that does have the presentation that was the same presentation given at each community event or community workshop. And it is available to answer the survey that was conducted at that presentation. So it's all available via our website, westcovina.org, if anyone is still interested in participating. And so we're going to be setting up subcommittees with the Planning Commission and the City Council to provide an update as well. So that's it for me. Thank you, Chair.
All right. Were there any council actions that you'd like to report?
Not at this time.
Okay. Since there's no further business to consider, this meeting is adjourned at 9:53.